Although the world economy have not seen many positive changes, Vietnam's economy still remains a stable development in the past year. In particular, real estate market in 2015 witnessed a year of active and robust development. According to statistics from the Ministry of Construction of Vietnam, in 11 months of 2015 in Hanoi, there have been 17,715 transactions, up about 80% over the same period of 2014. Also in Ho Chi Minh City, the transaction volume of 11 months in 2015 is about 17,050 transactions, up about 92% compared with the same period in 2014. At the same time, foreign capital continued to be poured into the market. Ranking third among the largest recipient sectors is real estate, with 29 new projects and 10 projects increased in capital. Total newly registered and additional capital is $2.32 billion. In particular, Ho Chi Minh City received nearly $1.5 billion. Merger and acquisition or M&A activities in real estate market were active in 2015. Such investors like Vingroup, Novaland, VID Group, Capoland, Lotte continue to dominate the real estate market with their M&A activities. Remarkably, Vingroup acquired Project Star City Center, Gamuda acquired Celadon City, Zhou Dai Folk acquired South Hoi An Casino, etc. The government's policy also boosts the growth rate of the market. Specifically, from July 1, 2015, real estate business law officially took effect, with the new regulations including foreigners can own houses in Vietnam, law on property guarantee. It is said that 2015 is the year of growth for property market across all segments. Many experts said real estate's development cycle has come back, promising to develop further in the future.
Hello to all the viewers of Sharing Vietnam on VTC 10. The real estate market in Vietnam had a quite stable and impressive growth in 2015. Today we'll go through the highlights once again and at the same time predict the prospect of 2016 with the real estate specialist. So please welcome Mr. Alex Grain, General Manager of Cushman Wakefield Vietnam. Mr. Grain, can you say a few words to our viewers of Sharing Vietnam?
Hi, I'm Alex Crane, General Manager at Cushman Wakefield Vietnam. Thank you for taking the time to see us today.
It's almost the end of the year 2015. What is your general evaluation of the real estate market of this year?
Sure, we've got our Q4 numbers to come later this year, but certainly to this point we can tell it's been a tremendously positive year. Sentiment across most sectors of the markets, residential and commercial, have certainly improved on previous years. Specifically, we've seen a lot of traction in the residential markets, some divergence between both Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City in some of the commercial sectors. But there's a lot of momentum from overseas investors and occupiers, which is partly down to a lot of the free trade agreements that are coming forward. So there's lots of positivity from 2015 going forward into the new year.
What kind of adjectives would you like to use to describe the real estate market of the year 2015?
I think if I were to choose three, I would say transformational. I think there's a lot of evolution coming through in the market now. Challenging, as there's a lot of regulation that's changing, and some of the markets are a little bit difficult to predict going forward. But also I'd say healthy, in terms of the demand that's out there, the willingness of people doing business, the growth in the country as a whole.
What market segment gained the most impressive growth in 2015?
It has to be the residential sectors. In terms of the reporting numbers that we're hearing on reservations, particularly through a lot of new projects that are ongoing in both critical cities, but also in Da Nang. Whether that continues into 2016, we have to be a little bit cautious. But certainly there's pent-up demand. We've seen a lack of residential development over the last couple of years. And there's a need for quality. The banks are also lending more into the markets, which is proving a little bit more liquidity. So we expect that to continue going forward. But certainly the biggest change of 2015.
Vietnam has a young population, which is increasing every year, and its urbanization happens quickly. This leads to increasing demand for residency. Following the acceleration rate in real estate market, many projects from luxury apartments to affordable, from villas to houses, launch in Hanoi. A series of projects such as Moon City, South Tulin District, and Gomark City, Koze District. In Ho Chi Minh City, such projects as high-end apartment River Park, District 4, the Average Infinity District 5 were also launched this year.
Có hai cái mùa kinh doanh bất động sản rất là lớn, rất mạnh trong năm. Đó là kinh doanh bất động sản vào mùa xuân hè và kinh doanh bất động sản vào mùa thu đông. Thì hiện nay đang đi vào cái mùa thu đông, và mùa thu đông chính là cái mùa mà người dân sắm sửa nhà cửa để chuẩn bị đón xuân, và cũng là cái mùa cưới, cho nên là cái bất động sản được bung hàng ra trong giai đoạn cuối năm nó cũng phù hợp với cái nhu cầu của thị trường.
Many experts predicted that the significant growth in the first 6 months of the property market was a solid foundation for a strong growth period of the second half of 2015, especially in the residential sector. As of November 2015, the total value of nationwide real estate inventories was about 53,245 billion VND, down by 3,041 billion VND compared to the previous month. Meanwhile, outstanding loans as of September 30th, 2015 in real estate sector reached 358,156 billion VND, an increase of 1.36% compared to August 31st, 2015, and up 14.6% compared with the December 31st, 2014.
Thực sự là thị trường bất động sản năm 2015 ấy, nó đã chứng kiến một sự khởi sắc rất là mạnh mẽ, và trong 6 tháng đầu năm thì cái lượng các cái giao dịch thành công ấy, nó đã vượt qua cả cái con số liệu của cả năm 2014. Dòng vốn rót vào bất động sản từ cái dòng vốn tín dụng nó cũng có cái tăng trưởng nó rất là cao, và cũng như là dòng vốn ngoại, vốn rót vào cái bất động sản và cả cái dòng vốn khác từ cái xã hội nó rót vào cũng đang đạt một con số rất là cao, và đó nó thể hiện một cái tình trạng của thị trường, một cái trạng thái thị trường đang rất là hưng phấn.
Experts predicted that real estate in 2016 will be better than 2015, especially when the market is also supported by the new rules in the 2014 Property Business Law and 2014 Housing Law. Also, when Vietnam fully integrated into the world economy through free trade agreements, the property market will reach a stable and strong development stage.
In 2015, the market witnessed a return of many investors. Will the real estate market bubble happen while the market keeps growing?
Certainly not in the commercial sectors to start with. I think we've got a lot of positivity around industrial and retail sectors, again, through these trade agreements, but I think that will actually bring some stability to the markets. The commercial occupier markets, like the office occupiers, I think we'll see also stability, certainly no bubble there. We'll see different trajectories through both cities. Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi will perform quite differently through the commercial sectors. We have to be a little bit more cautious looking at the residential sector, where there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of activity at the moment. There's also a lot of construction and a lot of supply coming into the market. So we need to make sure that that's a sustainable demand going into that sector in the future. People, I think, need to be more considerate of the long-term view on their investments into residential real estate, which is underpinned by return on investment, which is the tenants in the market. So we need to make sure that there's enough tenant demand to fill a lot of these developments that are being completed.
So in your opinion, what kind of advantages does Vietnam have in attracting foreign investors in the upcoming year of 2016?
I think a lot of people always talk about Vietnam in terms of the demographics also. If we look at the urbanization rate, people coming back to or moving into cities, if we look at the disposable income, if we look at the median age of the population and the willingness to spend, that's all having very positive effects potentially for the retail sector. And again, I think the population demographics are probably slightly better than they could be in Indonesia, Philippines, China again. In terms of the commercial markets, again, the labour force, the level of education here. I mean, Vietnam's really hot in IT and tech at the moment. We're seeing some really good growth from some of these occupiers. People are starting to choose Vietnam over places like the Philippines, perhaps. So that's quite an interesting longer-term view to some of the big multinationals that are coming in, particularly in those sectors.
The price of the real estate market had a tendency to slightly decrease in 2015. Will this trend continue in 2016?
Going back again on the residential market, it's a little difficult to forecast, as there is quite a lot of momentum. As I said, that's underpinned by the likely rental returns that these investors can make. But certainly, I think in the commercial sectors, we'll see stability through industrial retail. The office market, we'll see increase in pricing in rents in Ho Chi Minh City, but a reduction in Hanoi, and that's both led by the supply numbers. The critical one to watch, and where I'd be a little bit more cautious over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, is within that residential sector.
How about the M&A activities? The real estate market experienced many successful transactions in the year 2015, and many experts also predicted that these activities would bloom in the year 2016, 2017. What is your opinion about this?
I think Vietnam is becoming more attractive on a regional basis again for a lot of investors. And we're seeing that almost renew over the last 6 to 12 months. It's certainly been noticeable. People that are coming to see us as a very pure level of gauging that. The interest is really increasing. So the M&A activity for sure will continue. I think there'll be 2 or 3 big landmark transactions in the next 12 months, principally on the acquisition side. But we'll see a lot of activity with foreign investors looking at joint venture with local partners. The local groups at the moment are very strong in terms of their ability to acquire development sites and investment opportunities. They're very nimble and quick to act. So where they have that land bank and that connectivity with the local market, that's something that's really valuable for these institutional and foreign investors. So yeah, I do expect a good increase, certainly on this year, but almost certainly on 2014 as things are ramping up again.
So last but not least, what kind of advice would you give to investors as well as the people in need? How should they invest in this market in the upcoming year?
If we look at, I guess, residential, which is for most people in the market and the most interesting part of the market perhaps at the moment, as I said, I think it's going in with a real awareness of the likely returns that you can make if you're buying as an investment. I think people should be careful of assumed capital increases, capital value increases on their real estate. So if you are looking as an investor, do gauge what sort of returns you can make over 3, 5, 7 years. Typically, I would be looking to expect doubling my capital value over 7 years if I'm looking at residential in other markets. So that's probably a benchmark I would use going into that sector for next year. For the commercial investors, I think they have to be a little quicker. They have to be more nimble. And the speed to act is critical. It's a very competitive marketplace going against some of the large local groups who know the systems and are a little less averse to risk. So I think that's a critical component. But what that leads to is some very quick but thorough due diligence, which is where consultants like Cushman Wakefield and others can really add value to these guys.
Thank you, Mr. Green, for your time and sharing today. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you again.